Hey, it's me back. So thank you for joining. So this particular video is a more sensitive, personal one, discussing depression and discussing mental health and discussing just the Black community and, just naturally, how we are when it comes to, depression and mental health and how it's so relatable to the things that I've experienced. So I'm going to be extremely vulnerable, in the creation of this video to, do my part in speaking about the awareness of depression and depression in women, or just depression in the Black community. So I guess covering a few things here. So first thing I want to talk about is just naturally me, who I am. I've always been an entrepreneur for years upon years upon years, and I've always been very driven for success, whether that was then in my corporate life or as an entrepreneur. I've always been driven and passionate about business and profitability and just building things, because it's something that I love to do. So I never thought that would be one of the things that would put me into a major down spiral of depression. So for about 6 months of last year, I was in a major depression, something I never thought I would experience. I've never had depression. I've never felt like there was any kind of mental health issues or anything concerning myself, or really any true history from my family of it either. But I found myself in this whirlwind of darkness that I could not get out of to save my life. Very few people know about what I went through. In fact, really only two people really know. And that was Leah, my fiance slash wifey, that, went through that with me. And it was one of the most trying times I've ever experienced in my life. Depression, for those that have never experienced it, let me give you a little insight as to what that looks like and what that feels like. Those that know what that is, you already know what it feels like. But depression is more than just what we see on videos, more than what we see on TV, and person not wanting to do nothing, person just wanting to stay in the bed, sleep, don't have any energy to do anything. While yes, I carried all those symptoms, it was very hard for me to do anything. It was very hard for me to focus on anything. It's hard for me to do anything, period. The only thing I wanted to do was, lay, chill, and eat a whole bunch of damn carbs. That's all I wanted to do. That's all I wanted to do. Eat a whole bunch of carbs. Whether it's snacks, sweets, fast food, I didn't want anything else. And it starts by, or at least for me, my experience with depression started with just the overwhelmness of life. There had been a significant amount of deaths in my family. So a lot of my aunts passed over the last 4 or 5 years. My mom passed a couple years ago. And, all that, I didn't really take the time to really grieve or nourish, I guess, my spirit around that. I just kept working through it, not knowing that it was truly affecting, me in a subconscious way that I hadn't really noticed. I didn't really figure this out until, much later on down the road that played a part, and this was due to therapy, that played a major part into my depression. Some other things I was battling with was the decision to, officially leave corporate America for good altogether, like no contracts, no nothing, and do my own thing and do what God was pushing and telling me to do for the last 3 years or so. I was also battling with, some internal things about who I am myself, getting older, gaining weight, not looking the same, not feeling the same. It was just an overwhelmness of a lot of things, still trying to go 150 miles an hour as an entrepreneur, building businesses on top of businesses. I had a setback in one of my business adventures with the painting company that we're actually about to close. So due to a decision that Leah and I made, that would be best for us because of other ventures and other things that we want to do. We just can't run a full-time painting business anymore. So a big setback with a partnership that I had with someone, which was very hurtful, and how it all transpired with that partnership behind the painting company called Wow One Day. And so that played a major role to my depression. So that, just to give you some kind of idea of all the things, and I was super stressed out about Leah. And for those that don't know, Leah is British, and she moved here about a year and a half ago. Well, maybe it's 2 years now almost. And so we were waiting on her green card and paperwork and stuff so she can, drive, so she can be mobile. So I was really stressed out for her mental health of, kind of feeling like trapped into the house and couldn't go nowhere, couldn't do nothing. So I was stressed out about it. I took all that stress in being worried about her mental health and her state of being, and not being able to, go visit family and stuff like that. So COVID played a major role in the stress level in our relationship as well. And then I'll go into more details about us in a different video and how it relates again to this journey. But getting back to the depression, the experience for me, if it wasn't for God, that's first and foremost. If it wasn't for Leah's support throughout all of this, if it wasn't for therapy, and if it wasn't for just church in general, whether that's me watching sermons online, or whether it was sermons online, or whether it was gospel music that was encouraging. I love working out and go to the gym, and I don't want to do any of that. So it's very difficult to kind of maneuver and get through, all of that. So, yeah, depression was really real. It was scary. Anyone that's been into any type of major depression, that, and it's a darkness. It's like a cloud. The best way to explain it is a cloud like over you that you can't get away around or anything. And it's just over you every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I couldn't shake it for nothing. I felt like I was praying and my prayers were getting unanswered. I was crying almost every day. Didn't want to talk to anybody, didn't want to see anybody, didn't want to do anything, and it got to the point to where I didn't want to be here anymore. I didn't want to be on this earth anymore. That's how bad the depression was for me. And I didn't know what to do with myself. That's, in a major part of when I was going through this, church wasn't open. And I found myself actually traveling to Charlotte, North Carolina to attend a church that I've always wanted to attend, which is Elevation, which they were open, because I knew I needed to be in somebody's church. And it was really hard to get through that. The depression was so bad that whole time I was in Charlotte, which Leah did not like me making that trip, but I knew that I needed to make that trip. And I didn't do anything. I cried all day, every day. But I did go to church, which was the whole mission and goal. And, I spent a lot of prayer time with God and talks with God during that trip as well. And, but that wasn't the only trip I did. I did a trip to Florida and all by myself, and just drove for hours and literally ended up in Florida. Like, wasn't planned at all. And I just didn't know what to do with myself. But it was all scary at the same time, because it's almost like best way to explain it, it's like a devil. The devil, literally, it's just in your ear 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you're battling such negative thoughts of suicide, negative thoughts of, hey, now the world is better without me. And now, granted, now I've had so many successes in life, and for depression to take over someone like me, if somebody would have told me I was going to go through this, I was like, you're a lie. Not me. I'm the strongest person I know. So there's no way that I would ever be depressed or get depressed or anything like that. So I went through, all of that. It was really difficult. While I never planned, suicide or anything like that, it was, the constant thought was there. I didn't never plan it, but I did go complete a will. I did all that because I was so unsure of myself, of what I was going to do. I didn't know. I knew that it was something that I wanted to do. I didn't plan it out physically as to what that would look like. And then it was like, the more and more I heard about suicide with celebrities and, just everyday people, it was almost like it embarked a feeling of like, yeah, this is the way to do it. This is the way out. And the best way to kind of explain it when you're feeling this way is like, it's like you feel like, if I don't have to wake up tomorrow, then I have to deal with this feeling. I don't have to feel this anymore. I don't have to do this anymore. I don't have to think about anything anymore. I don't have to make a decision about anything anymore. Like, it's good. It's good. And a lot of people give feedback to those that are severely depressed. It's like, hey, it's going to get better. Just focus on something positive. And I know people are trying to be helpful, but a lot of times it's not helpful. It's not, because we're battling, or at least I felt like I was battling a major demon that I couldn't shake to save my life. And someone that's so heavily inbound in church, the foundation from my grandmother and from my aunts. And I've been involved in church all of my adulthood. So, for someone like me to be battling a demon like that, it even surprised me. Like, I didn't even know what I was going through until I was going through it. It was way too late. So, being in such a suicidal state, I knew that I had to make a decision on, going to get some help if I wanted to really beat this and really survive this. So that's exactly what I did. And then that embarked a whole different journey of medication. And, I'm not big with the whole, like, if I got a headache or stomach ache, okay, cool, give me some relief. But I'm not really big on the whole, give me some medicine all the time, So I was really opposed of really taking any kind of psychiatric medicine, or medicine that would do, I guess, good. I didn't really understand it until my therapist really broke it down to me to really understand what meds does, which is basically gives us that chemical balance back, because our minds is imbalanced when you're dealing with depression. So I said, okay, all right, well, here I go. So I went from just taking cholesterol pills to taking 4 different medications, 4, and then they were alternating medications. So it was difficult. It was very hard to do, very difficult, very hard to do, and I wasn't sure if I was coming or going. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't stay asleep. It was like this nervousness I would have. So it's like it's a catch-22 with meds. You don't know if it's better not to take them or take them. But I knew that I was such in a scary point in my life that I knew that I need to do something. So if the psychiatrist and the therapist is saying, hey, take meds, then that's what you need. That's what I did. I took the meds. So it took a minute for the meds to really kind of kick in, and it was a slow progression to getting back or feeling like I even wanted to do anything. So it wasn't like I took the meds and it was just like, bam, everything was great. Everything was cool. It wasn't like that at all. It took time. It took months of the medicine being in my system for it really to kick in to where I really started to feel like me again. One of the biggest things that probably affected me the most throughout this whole depression stage was still trying to be a mother at the same time. I co-parent Cameron, and when I did have her, it was so hard to do that. Christmas, my favorite holiday in the whole wide world. I love Christmas because I love giving. It's just part of who I am. And I didn't want to do anything. I didn't even want a Christmas tree up. That's how bad it was. And I felt really bad for Cameron because I feel like she got slated a little bit of a typical Christmas that she would have here or have with us. But Leah still put up a tree, and decorated a little bit. But I didn't want to be involved with anything. I didn't communicate with my family. I wasn't communicating with anybody. Nothing, nobody. So my family is actually the first time they'll be hearing about this is watching this video. I love you guys. And I'm sorry that I didn't share what I was going through at the time, but it just wasn't anything that I felt like I could share. It felt like anything that I wanted to share at that time. But, now that I'm better, I'm back to me 100%. I feel comfortable talking about it. I couldn't even really talk about it. I really didn't talk about it much with Leah, to be honest. And she was scared. She didn't know what to do, which I understood that and everything. But it was a really trying time. So I say all this to say and kind of talk about my experience because I think it's important that if you are severely depressed or if depression is something that you've been battling with for years or a couple months, it does get better, but it does take you taking the initiative if you can, if you have the strength to reach out and get the help that's provided. There's a lot of resources out there, but I almost didn't make it. I almost didn't survive this spill of depression. I had a great therapist and a great psychiatrist that helped guided me through the right steps to take, the right things to do to get me back to who I am and what I am today. So this kick of the depression is what has somewhat motivated me to go on this adventure with this bucket list because it's a more personal thing for me now because I almost didn't make it. And I trusted God and I trusted his provision for my life like I always do. And it still grabbed hold of me like someone just choking you. That's what it feels like. And so creating this bucket list and doing these things, as I know that's going to not only be fulfilling for me, but I think it's going to be fulfilling for a lot of other people of a lot of great things that, myself and my family and what we're going to be doing to help other people, which is truly my God-given mission for the rest of the years that I have on this earth. So many different ways I'm going to be able to do that. or that I will be doing that. So it's been a very difficult road. But to say the least, I'm so glad that I got through it. And it does get better. It takes time, but it does get better. Um, and I'm grateful to still be here because, like I said, I almost didn't make it um, to be here today, to even do this video or anything else. Um, and I kind of leave it at that. As far as my experience, dealing with depression, and just some tips on some of the things that I did to kind of overcome the depression. One of the things I did, I saw, like I said, alongside the meds, I also took the time out to really read a lot, more godly, more spiritual things, to help encourage me. Joel Osteen, I never was a big Joel Osteen fan, to be honest, but his messages are always, his sermons are always so encouraging. And I knew that's what I needed. That played a tremendous role into turning my mindset. So it's like every day that I would try to go to the gym, I would always listen to a sermon. I still do today. Still listen to Joel Osteen sermons because they're so inspirational, so encouraging and motivating, to kind of help you through the difficult times in life, which we all experience. And so that's one of the things I did. I slowly got back into the routine of going to the gym, which then helped me to kind of feel better. I got really into journaling. That helped tremendously. And then I slowly started to do, small, simple things that, I used to enjoy doing, going to the movies, maybe going out to eat, something like that, to help get me, to kind of to the point that I am today. So I think that wraps it up. Let me know if you have any questions about this, if depression is something that you are battling with, because I would love to help anyone that I possibly can around this topic. And given the fact that I was just such at a very high point in my life, and success-wise, career-wise, just financially, just everything, was in winds for my corner, and how I went from there to, rock bottom, literally. But anyway, thanks so much for listening, and I appreciate you, embarking this journey with me, and always remember, trust God.